A sweet cherry tree takes 7 years before it gives fruit. So that's what we're looking at here. And we have to accept that, you know, that's a universal law. You can't change that. So if you want something big, you have to invest. And that's what I've done, not just financially, but also in terms of what product I'm going to drop, so to speak. Okay. So this product is, you know, has been a work in progress. We've refined it. We've changed it. We've done PowerPoints. We've come back. We've tweaked it. Think of the iPhone, how long it took to bring that out. Okay, it's a labor of love. And what I'm creating is something I think quite unique. There is nobody in this space for people who are retiring. And what I'm doing is I'm not coming out with something revolutionary myself. I'm taking revolutionary stuff that's out in the market, but people haven't quite got their heads around it. People like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and Eckhart Tolle. And I'm creating my own cuisine, my own menu. And so that's why it's taken time to get here. The other problem I had is, how am I going to get to my target audience? That's really important to know this, because if we know who our target audience is, we're not going to waste time doing all sorts of stuff that everybody else does. We're going to focus on who we want. And one of the things I've come to realize is that the people I want are people who are already there, who already know things are changing, things can't go on the way they are. They can't continue the way they are. The world has changed, they've changed, but they just don't know how to go about it. And so I'm using Dispenza, what's his name? Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, and Eckhart Tolle. Which means if they are my clients, if their people are their tribe are my tribe, I need to get in there like a Trojan horse. And we've done our research, and there's about, I think, is it 1.5 million, 2 million people in each? Something like that. There's about...
Well, yeah, I mean, we can talk about their followerships. Obviously, some of them are bigger on other channels than others, but their actual audiences, the people, if you combine, or the people that read their books and, you know, go to their public appearances and all the rest of it. I mean, obviously, sort of, you know, these are obviously well into the millions, yeah.
So if we take those millions, and I reckon there's something like 5 million people in that bandwidth, but probably more, but we're looking about 25% of these people are going to be baby boomers. And these are the people who are, when they start seeing my material come out, linking Bruce Lipton's material with retirement and why retirement doesn't work and why you need to change, et cetera, that's where things are going to, if you like, that's when they're going to come on board. And I'm going to be in their tribe, as it were, not just online, but also physically. So this is where I'm trying to get at, to these people. And I don't know how to do that. You do, Jonathan. And that's where you have to lead me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, I think you can lead me. You've been around in social media to know how to get to these people, how to, I'm going to use a CNN term, embed me with these people, but that's what I need. That's what I need you for.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's something you can do.
Absolutely.
Great. Good. So we're
I mean, becoming the go-to expert. I mean, Al knows this more than anybody. I mean, everybody wants somebody to be their go-to person, be it a plumber, a midwife, a mental health counselor. We all need that go-to person in our life that has high trust, that we know will deliver consistently. And what we're doing, in essence, is we're creating a niche that has not been there before.
Right.
And that retirement rebel concept comes out of the fact that the system's broken. And the 57-year-old British man, or probably 67-year-old British man now, I guess, in his sweatpants and slippers and Manchester United soccer shirt, sitting in front of the TV with his cup of tea, was not the person the 23-year-old guy thought he was going to become. And I remember when I first came to Canada, we went up to Grouse Mountain, which is one of the ski hills off the city. First time up there, first time seeing real snow as a family. And there was this fellow going up the mountain on the ski lift, skied down, back on the lift, up, back down. And I looked at him, I said to him, I said, guy's got to be at least 70. So, and to me, when I came from England, like 70 was old, right? And I asked this guy, I said, so do you mind if I ask how old you are? I said, I'm 77. I said, well, can I just take my hat off to you? Because what you're doing is amazing. He said, I do this every day and I love my life. And I went, I just moved to the right country. Because my 77, my dad died at 74, but my 77-year-old mindset person is done, let alone skiing for joy for the day, right? And the glint in this guy's eyes, I mean, it was a sunny day, but it was cold. So you get that, you know what I mean by that, the feeling. But it's exhilarating when you're doing something that energizes you. And I believe you can energize a whole generation and the ones to come that embracing life in such a different way. I mean, you look at the Hollywood stars of like Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor got remarried today for the second time, apparently. But they looked old already and they were in their 50s. Whereas now you look at the Hollywood people in their 50s, they look like they're in their 30s, which, you know, may have a little bit to do with other help that they've had, but the mindset has changed. And what hasn't changed is the leadership around how to enter this era. Because I just don't think anybody's saying it. Some people are living it. You know, the Richard Bransons of the world that we watch. I'm just like, wow, I want to be like him at his age. And he's leading by example, but I think you're one of the first few people who are going to be teaching it in a way that...
Here's the thing though, Jonathan, I need to be in that space in the right place at the right time and to be able to use a word, to monetize it.
Yes.
And to do that right, I need to be in the right tribes from the get-go. And so if I'm in the right tribes, I already, if you like, create a new tribe before you can sort of go to the next level. Mm-hmm. And
because George, I was just going to say that the people that we were talking about before, like Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and Eckhart Tolle, the people that consume their teachings, who are our potential audiences, they tend to visit the sites and consume the programs and interest in the content of several of these types of people. It's not, they don't, they'll have a favorite, but they would tend to be warm to this kind of thing and probably on the lookout for something that spoke to them and their age group. But that also encompass the types of teaching that they were already warm to. So I think you're right, George, when you're sort of saying, that this is a kind of, this is a kind of the first step, isn't it? This is the low-hanging fruit in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So this is my thing, is that if, I am working really hard to prepare this program, which I'm hoping is going to be done by sort of mid-November. That's the target we have. It's actually end of the year, but we're trying to bring it forward to make sure that we do finish on time and to actually kickstart properly in the new year, in January 2020. But we are going to do small steps between now and the end of December. But to do that, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of gone off our agenda, but we're sort of getting there. We're kind of in there already. It's about, I've told you about the current status of, how I feel this is where we should be going. This is where I get really sort of energized. And I kind of wrote a few words here, I kind of feel like I'm a pioneer and a settler at the same time in this space. And I kind of want to invite my tribe from friendly tribes to come over. And so that's what I'm doing. And
that's 25, nice.
And 25% of these tribes are baby boomers. So the third point is that I need to get quality material that can blow my audience away.
Yes.
Hence the time needed to prepare. Now, in terms of the podcasts, I did a kind of, I spoke to my mastermind set. You know some of them already, Jonathan, Marianne and Kim and Matt and a few others. And I said to them, look, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a podcast, a video, and a blog along the same lines. How would you receive them? How much time would you? And the vast majority of them said the podcast, they can listen to long podcasts because they go for long walks with their dog, they drive. The video, not so much. Video's good to...
Not that age group.
Sorry?
Not that age group.
Which one? The older people watch videos?
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. The podcasts, okay, and the videos would direct them to the podcast and to the blog, because that age group also does a lot more reading. So, the blog and the podcast. The podcast, the reason it is more powerful is because when you're actually listening to the podcast, it's going into your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
You don't have any visual distraction. It is actually going into your subconscious mind. So you're able to absorb it deep, in a deeper way. So that's why the podcast actually suits me as a medium, but I need the video to direct them. So it's kind of watch, listen, read. Is that right? Yeah. So anyway, that's the thing. So, and of course the English accent is the sizzle. There's no question about that. I mean, you touched on that in your conversation with Anna. And I was sort of, I thought I'd bring this up because it would resonate with you, Jonathan. You probably remember Robin Leach, The Lives of the Rich and Famous. He was always down in Miami and
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Robin Leach. He had a sort of Welsh / Mancunian accent or something like that, but he was always sort of quite funny. Then, of course, CNN got onto the game and brought in Stuart Varney. Do you remember Stuart Varney, the old geezer, back in the 80s? And then, of course, more recently, we had Richard Quest and Becky Anderson on CNN. And, of course, the latest, of course, is Piers Morgan, who took over Larry King, and James Corden, the Late Late Show. So clearly, the English accent is still there, but that's really the sizzle. It's not the steak. It's the steak I need. I need to get proper Argentinian steak here. I don't want to get sort of leftovers from Pizza Express or wherever, you know what I mean? Exactly. So yeah, so that's my point. That's why it's so important to get the material right. So here's the thing about the podcast. One of the things I came away with was actually breaking down that podcast into 7-8 pieces, smaller pieces. Mm-hmm. So in 2 minutes, I can show the connection between the ideas that these mindset masters, as I call them, Lipton and Dispenza, come out with, and linking it to the retirement concept. So these are like morsels that which is going to stop them in their tracks and, make them think, whoa, yes, I never thought about that. This is interesting. Let me delve in. But so there's all, so we haven't, we've cobbled where's it gone? A content calendar. It's not it's still a work in progress. It's an Aunt Sally. We've got a few of those components in. And so we'll come back to that in a second, but yeah, I think we've covered all that.
Yeah, I think the other thing, George, that we were just sort of, it might be worth sort of touching on is that when we talk about these speakers, authors, mentors, the ones, we've got a kind of holy trinity there of Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, and Eckhart Tolle. And I think you put it really eloquently there about the sort of tribes, and something you said there, I can't actually remember the words, but about that some of their tribe it can be your tribe too, because of the age group of them. And
Right.
I think when we think about personal branding and aligning yourself with them, I think the thing that's really important about these people is the strength of their teaching and the strength of their content, and what they are saying. And I don't, and I think what you're right when you were talking about the Britishness being, it might be the sizzle, but it's not the thing, it's not the shtick, and I think when we sort of think about your sort of personal branding, I suppose what we've been thinking about recently was not going too heavy on that, not, you're not trying to create some, a sort of English eccentric type personality, because I think the quality of the content and the teaching is what the people that we're reaching out to are really interested in here. And they are, these people, they want the lengthier content. And obviously we've researched these people, and they are listening to Bruce Lipton 45-minute hour-long podcasts, and they are reading, lengthier blog posts. And I suppose in a way it's identifying that audience, see what they're listening to, see what they're reading, see what they like about the people that they're following, because that is, that's audience research, isn't it, right there? And Anna, I'm sorry, I don't really sort of my background is I was and am a journalist, but I've also worked in advertising and marketing for my whole career. So that's my sort of background, a bit mix of all of it, really. The audience research, which is obviously essential when you're trying to identify your personal brand and align yourself, find out who you want to align yourself. And if you're aligning yourself with these people, I think that the depth of content, the quality of content is really important. And the whistles and bells, what these guys are sort of wearing, saying, their accents and stuff. Obviously, you need to appeal to people and have a human face, but the actual teaching and the content and the programs is really vital here. I mean, you just have to look at Bruce Lipton and Eckhart Tolle. They're academics. They are wearing sweater vests and they have beards, and nobody is really listening to their, fashion tips, are they?
But here's the point. And I get what Jonathan is saying about creating a sort of a social media persona. I get that totally. But I'm just thinking that it's got to be nuanced because of the people, the audience we're targeting. So instead of, if you like, being a stand-up comedian, if I can use that sort of analogy, I'm giving a talk peppered with a bit of humor here and there.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%.
Because of the audience, because the audience is so, I think the only word I can use, because all of them are on this thing, is
sophisticated, I think.
But it's not even sophisticated, because you've got sophisticated people who are still not, their sort of consciousness hasn't gone up there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
They're still, on the treadmill. They're still sort of like mice on a treadmill. They think that they're going to be happy once they reach this position. They don't realize that when they get there, something new is going to come. They're not going to get happy.
Mm.
And so these people that read Bruce Lipton and Dispenza,
enlightened,
and
maybe, I suppose.
Who understand. Yeah, in a sense, they're enlightened, and a lot of people are coming round to that. You cannot, and this is what reading this material, which on the face of it is actually heavy.
Mm.
It's heavy material, but if I'm able to water it down a little bit, give it to them in nouvelle cuisine portions, actually these guys are going to thank me for doing that for them, because I'm breaking it down into edible pieces, and they're going to, and each morsel is going to be something to taste and to sort of reflect on and to think about, and then think, oh shit, how does that apply to my life?
Mm-hmm.
So because these people are, I don't think they're your tribe yet, Jonathan, but
no.
You will know how to get to them. That's why I think you have the magic to get me into Troy. Give me that Trojan horse, get me in there. So that's where I see you. And this is how I've come to this point. And so I kind of want to know, So, because I was listening to your conversation with Anna, and Anna was saying, well, we're just going to wait and see, what we're instructed, and we'll do what we're instructed. That's actually not quite how it's going to happen.
No, we will lead as well. I mean,
sorry?
We lead as well.
Yes, because I don't know the social media territory.
No.
It's Indian territory for me. And you're my scout. You need to lead me in there and show me where the Cherokee chief is.
Can we say that anymore?
Sorry. Oh, you're not allowed to. Okay, fine. I withdraw that. Actually, no.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Okay. I think maybe what I meant by that, I will get you the audience. I just need that little bites that you want to give.
Yeah, absolutely.
The audience. I need it to target them, to target the right subjects, and to get the right contents, and to create the right posts. Because this little food that you want to give, I need to know, what is that food?
That's exactly what we're going to do, Anna.
Yeah.
That's exactly how we're going to do it. But the thing is that I'm going to give you the food, but I don't know where you're going to put that.
Oh.
I don't know how you're going to disseminate that.
Yeah, that's.
So that's where we're coming from, and the thing is that we need to work together. So on emails, all of us need to be on one email. Okay. No one sends an email to just one person.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you've got something going on that I don't need to know.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, every email has to be circulated. Okay, so everybody knows what's going on. I mean, does that sound remotely close to what you would be happy to do, Jonathan?
Oh, exactly right. No, it's exactly right. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I think just before we start talking on a much more practical level, I just think, just to sort of summarize some of the things we're talking about there, I think one of the things we've been missing from the exercise so far is creating what we, do in marketing all the time, is this customer avatar or profile of this person, and who they're listening to, what they're doing, what media they consume, what that media looks like, what social media channels they look, what books they read, etc., and creating this imaginary person. And then, Anna, that can really help you to not only help George align himself with brands that essentially are all competitors, but at the same time, because thankfully people, they eat lots of different sorts of food, and they consume lots of different sort of mindset mentors, thankfully, that it will help us, to be able to align yourself with the right type of things that are going on out there. And I think that's crucial, isn't it?
Totally is. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at your Apple Watch, George. I just put mine on charge. I mean, who would have thought, when we watched Dick Tracy as younger people, that technology would actually come to be, right?
Yeah, well, what's terrifying is what's going to happen in the next 10 years.
True.
We're probably going to have something embedded in our brains or something.
But things like, if someone says to me, oh, do you remember 30 years ago? My brain goes to the 1970s.
Isn't that 50 now?
Yes. So what happened to that 20, right? And like today in history was the day that the London Eye came up out of the Thames and was put in its anchor. And it's like, I remember that day. It's like, that's not 19 years ago. No way. And I went, yeah, it is. So
when did you lived in Farnborough, didn't you?
Yeah.
And when did you leave the UK?
2002.
Oh, wow. So nearly 20 years.
So there's all these pieces of history that we can totally just grab on the day and turn into that. Do you remember when 30 years ago and you instantly think of 1976? Yeah, no, not quite, not anymore. But what happened to those 20? We were so busy working and saving for our time, and we almost forgot to live. And I think that is an actual, scenario that a lot of people would identify with. And then when we pick points in history, which is why I love social media now, is reminding us of specific things in our lives, if you've been on social media for a while. And then I use an app called Time Hop, and every day it tells me what happened on this day in history. There's so much great content that people go, oh my gosh, yes. And then you just become that go-to, like, oh my gosh, yes. I got to listen to what this guy has to say. And I think that's how we start to bring that social media piece into the mindset of just realization that time is flying like that, and how much things have changed, and yet in many ways how things have not changed at all, which is what you want to help change.
Since you bring that up, I'm just thinking, because of these morsels that I'm giving out, okay, I mean, am I going to be on social media every single day? No, I don't need
No,
to.
you don't need to be. I mean, we definitely want to, as you saw, I want to gear up your personal social media as well, because that's where the ripple effect starts.
Yeah, we need to come to that actually.
Yeah, why don't we just go back to the agenda and talk about the social channels and start jumping about a bit.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Let's start with, should we start with Facebook?
Well, yeah, we want to sort of maybe talk about what channels exist, because you seem to have a few Facebook pages, George. And let's talk about what...
sorry, Elle and I discovered today.
No, carry
on. That I've got 3 Spirits of Gratitude Facebook pages that perhaps you're not even aware of.
Are they published?
Because I may have given you a link to one and not mentioned the other 2, because I was not aware. Well, I was aware, but I didn't. I thought they were all one. And just let me just give it to you so that you know. And here's the thing. One is called spiritsofgratitude.com. The other one is spiritsofgratitudebook.com. And then there's a Facebook at George Jerjian Coaching. And another one is George Jerjian Spirits of Gratitude at Retirement Rebellion. Now, I think that's the one that you may have used or whatever. But so here, we've got 4 Facebook pages. I'm thinking with Retirement Rebellion as kind of my business page, or maybe not, depending on what we decide. Can we get rid of all these Spirits of Gratitude, or are we not able to get rid of them?
We can unpublish them.
Oh, so unpublishing means that...
I have your personal Facebook login, George, so I can go in and do that.
Can you go in and do that so we get all the Spirits of Gratitude off? I mean, do you think that's a mistake? Should we keep one?
Well, the main page that you have, which has the biggest audience, is called Spirit of Gratitude.
Should we keep that? Or do you think that's a distraction?
It doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the offering. It's just the book that's called that. And also we discovered that you have 2 other websites as well, other than your main one. So I think there needs to be some simplification, really.
Oh, you're talking about Spirits of Gratitude, the website?
There's spiritofgratitudebook.com and spiritofgratitude.com and georgejerjian.com.
Right. So the George Jerjian stays, but the spiritsofgratitude.com, you can't even get in that.
We were going to point that to one specific page for the book, weren't we?
That's right.
You had a separate landing page for that website.
That's right. That's all it was a landing page. Have we done that? Do you know, Jonathan? Let me just quickly go in. Hang on.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Do you know what I'm thinking is, because we've only got 25 minutes.
Yes.
I think that as an action, an audit of existing social channels and websites needs to happen.
Sure.
And probably best not to do it during the course of the call. And then from that, we can establish which social channels we want to continue with. And also there needs to be a consistent branding across all of them. And we need to decide so that it's completely uniform before any content starts rolling out. Because with the LinkedIn page, also there doesn't seem to be a business LinkedIn page. There's just a personal one.
We haven't started anything, but that's why we need to have this conversation today.
Yeah. So a sort of audit of existing channels and a consistency checker through them, because that has to be a first first start on that, I think.
Sure.
Jonathan, can Anna do something to prepare a page of all the Facebook pages I have, websites I have on this? And maybe, Jonathan, you can suggest which ones we keep and which ones we get rid of. Make your suggestion. I suspect we're only really going to keep the George Jerjian, and we only keep the Spirit of Gratitude as a landing page for the book. That's it. Nothing else. Now,
and where is that? When you say landing, what's landing there, and from where?
From my website, georgejerjian.com. You go to the
Probably
landing
have
page.
that URL in the book.
But you have a page on the website. You already have a book page on the website.
Yes.
Usually a landing page is set up for a specific campaign.
It was originally, and we just kept it there in case we want to use it again. Let me just
Okay, yeah, I can go into that. We won't bother.
Okay, all right. I'll leave that with you, Jonathan. So there's that. Now coming to Facebook, I've got my personal page. I think Spirit of Gratitude should disappear.
Okay.
From Facebook altogether. So we've got 4 or 5 different ones there. We just need to get rid of all of them. And here's the thing: on Facebook, my business page, should it remain George Jerjian? That is the brand, and put underneath that.
I have Retirement Rebel.
Retirement Rebellion. I want to keep Retirement Rebellion because it's a cause. It's not me. And I don't know how. I'm going to have to leave the suggestions to you as to how we have a link between George Jerjian business page and Retirement Rebellion. So we have a new page. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's on Facebook.
Just a suggestion on that. One of the things I see a lot of coaches and mentors do is they call the name of the page their name. They have their face in the profile picture, which obviously humanizes it. And then if they have a brand, that's in the Facebook header. So I could see it being George Jerjian in the name of the page, and your face in the profile picture, but then the banner says Retirement Rebellion. So the people are associating the two, but you've still got the personality is coming through. I see that for quite a lot of coaches. So for example,
Paul has it as well. No, that's a good suggestion. Yeah. Okay, so are we okay on Facebook?
Yep.
Perfect. Going to LinkedIn. The personal page is George Jerjian. The business page is again Retirement Rebellion. And I think we can. I think Paige has done something on the that square thing.
Yeah, that was for your podcast cover.
Yes, it was. Yeah. I think we need to keep the same kind of theme in terms of colors, and so maybe she can sort of produce something for the business page on LinkedIn and the business page on Facebook. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
can I just say that your LinkedIn page doesn't appear to connect to a business page called Retirement Rebellion?
It doesn't exist.
No, there isn't one.
Oh, okay, right.
It's not there yet. We haven't started. Yeah, so we're just starting now. So I'm glad we're having this conversation because I think this is where we need to be going to get these things all sorted out and unified, harmonized. So we've done LinkedIn, we've done Facebook. Now, Instagram, initially we were sort of iffy about Instagram, but I know you, Jonathan, want it, and now Elle wants it for, your reasons. I don't know what your reasons are. What's your reason, Jonathan, for wanting Instagram?
For many reasons, it's Facebook's new Facebook, and most attention now is coming in social media channels through Instagram stories. It's certainly in North America, it is the go-to place to consume disposable content quickly and enjoyably. And it's a lot of brand association comes in these short vignettes of 3-second stories that people would create 4 or 5 a day. That doesn't mean that you have to do it live in the moment. You can't schedule stories. You have to create them on a daily basis or bi-daily basis. But that is by far the golden egg of content, if you like.
Okay. And what about you, Elle? Why do you think
Well,
Instagram?
yeah, I mean, I think that the reason I've come down to Instagram is because I've seen the people that we are, trying to sort of not poach, but interest their audiences. I've seen them being quite active on Instagram. So, say, for example, Eckhart Tolle, we were looking at his page. He uses it to post his little quotes and movies and stuff like that. And obviously there's the Facebook connection and the prevalence and importance of stories at the moment, whether or not that's something that would be sort of manageable and sustainable as a, something that you'd be able to sort of keep up. And Jonathan, obviously that would be on your shoulders. But I do think that our audience are clearly on there now that we've done all this research and defined who they are and what they're consuming. I do think they're on there, whereas initially when we kicked off, I wasn't quite sure that they were.
Okay. Well, Instagram, I think, is something. I mean, LinkedIn and Facebook clearly have got to be our sort of base, our sort of. They've got to be, because our tribes are on there. Those three parties are on there, so we need to be on both.
Yeah, and people do a lot of retargeting via Instagram and Facebook. Is that something that you've got in your plan, Jonathan? Because I know that a lot of people who are particularly sort of selling coaching programs do a lot of retargeting from the website onto Instagram as well as Facebook.
Yeah, the retargeting pixel.
It's what I was telling you about earlier, George.
Yeah, we haven't set that up yet, but there's absolutely no reason why we can't. I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really easy win, isn't it?
Yeah, if you spend money. Yeah.
How much money do you have to spend for something like that?
Well, so what happens is, for a 30-day period, somebody who's arrived on your website, we can retarget on their web browser. This whole thing about the privacy and the cookies policy. That's why it's so important, is that we tell people that we're going to do that, which is
it's that we've done on our privacy policy now.
Yes, exactly. And that's done now. So the other piece is, if someone is on Facebook and they click on your Facebook page, or they come to a landing page, or they come to your website, we can pick that pixel up as well through Facebook, and then channel them back through either their web browsing or through Facebook to be able to do that. So, George, if you went to John Lewis online and you were looking at a new pair of boots,
I get it,
and instantly that boots is on your Facebook.
What's the cost of doing something like that? Just off the top of your head.
It's a daily budget. It's actually not super expensive, because we already have identified the audience. So it's. I mean, we don't know until we try.
One to do maybe once we've got all our ducks in a row.
Yeah, it's typically days, $20 to $30 a day is a normal campaign for that kind. It depends on the reach and the broad, how broad we want to go with that. But if we specifically targeted East Coast North America and created a demographic out of that as well, it's possible.
Okay,
but I wouldn't be going there yet.
No,
but we certainly have the pixels embedded. So
sure, no, that's great. The other thing is, the next one is Twitter, and for that I'm going to pass Elle on to talk about that, because she's got some ideas. She uses a lot of Twitter because of her journalism. So do you want to?
Yeah. So my idea for this was that. So what scheduling tool do you use, Jonathan?
So we use a combination of Hootsuite and Lately.
Okay, so you've got the capacity to roll some of the content out on Twitter. So I know that it's not for everyone, and I do see it more of a sort of microblogging site than a site that you're rolling content out. But I do think that it's important to have a brand presence on that, so that you are looking consistent across all channels. And if the content is being created anyway for the Facebook and Instagram, it's easily adaptable to Twitter. But in amongst that, I think it's really important with Twitter to use it to engage in conversations with influencers, journalists, media, and to build an online community. And there's lots of really relevant hashtags on Twitter, I think, that would really suit George. And also a lot of that trio of people we've talked about, they're very active on Twitter as well. So it's really a sort of join the conversation one. So I think it would be great to have a sort of baseline of content rolling out on that. But in amongst it, I could have the login so that I can go in and do some community work and build some followerships there and engage with journalists, etc. as well. It's also a really good place to be sharing podcasts, particularly. Twitter is a good link through for podcast sharing as well. And it's probably, aside from Instagram, it's probably the most hashtag friendly social channel there is, and so it's not always the case that you'll get website visits or leads through Twitter, but it does open up the discussion and build relationships because people are on there in real life, and you can even like have conversations with celebrities. Like when I was telling you, George, about my husband accidentally having a conversation with Steve Davis, the snooker player. To be able to sort of firsthand connect with people, that's really the only place you can do that.
Steve Interesting Davis.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's in a band, and he's a retirement rebel. He's like, it's weird. It was actually weird that it was my husband that had a conversation with him, but he's sort of in a band now and stuff, and he's trying to be more interesting in his later years.
I met Mari Smith on Twitter about 8 years ago, and I'd actually retweeted one of her tweets, and that evening she DM'd me. And I'm like,
who's that?
Sorry. Conversation. Sorry?
Mari Smith is a Scottish lady who lives in North America now, and she is the face of Facebook. Was it
called the Queen of Facebook?
Yeah.
And she actually has been paid by Facebook to speak at their head offices in Europe and North America around how the public is consuming Facebook in a marketing capacity. She's super smart.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing what if you keep your DMs open on Twitter, you can open up all sorts of conversations.
And that was Anna's question in the interview, was just like, who responds to these people? I mean, obviously we can set up certain ideas that we could reply back, but this is where they want to be able to get in touch with George and actually have those real conversations with George. So I need to work with you, George, on just exactly how you monitor your channels, and you don't get overwhelmed with every update, but you actually are able to filter through.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, that's a challenge. How the hell do you do that? I mean, I had Hootsuite a couple of years ago and I gave up on it. But presumably Hootsuite is the platform, is it? Or not?
It's great.
It's great for scheduling content, but you need to be there in real life as well, because otherwise people will smell it a mile off that you're automating because you're not replying to things or interacting. And people, particularly on Twitter, are very skeptical of that. It doesn't matter so much on Facebook, to be honest, because people don't tend to be quite as real time about that.
No. The other advantage of Twitter is we can trend hashtags and columns. So we can do our own social listening and just see what other people are using that hashtag for and talking about it. And then you can dive in on Twitter, especially to those conversations, because you don't have to follow someone to be as part of that conversation. You can literally dive right in. And that's how Vaynerchuk literally created his wine business, was social listening around keywords. And
Gary V.
Yeah.
Yeah, so George, on the content calendar, I was talking about social listening on this notes on the side there, and I'd done a bit of research into what was it called? Brain spotting was a hashtag that some of the people we were trying to tap into were using. So it's tapping into and piggybacking hashtags like that in conversations is vital, and it's super cool as well.
I have no clue how to even begin doing these hashtags.
You don't need to worry because we're all doing it for you.
But I'll show you, George.
Okay, fine. All right, good.
Good. Ask for the conversation about that
too. So listen, how are we? So just to recap, because I know we're coming up to time soon, in about 10 minutes. I just wanted to know. Let's just recap what we're going to be doing.
Okay, George, are you happy for me to jump off this at 25 past? It's just the glamour, my daughter.
That's fine. So if you've got anything else to say it now, so that.
No, I think it's excellent. And just if we could just quickly go through next steps, and I think that the channel audit is great. And Anna, it'd be wonderful if you could dive in and do a sort of deep dive on everything that's out there George related, and so we can really just get it so cohesive and just really all tied up beautifully before, with a big bow on top before we put anything out there. That would be wonderful. And then I think looking at also these people we've talked about, this trio of amazing people that we would like, to, I suppose, align George's brand a bit with, and your thoughts on all that would be, really, really useful, because, this is a hive mind here. And I think it's wonderful that we've got all these different sort of skill sets coming together. It just feels so collaborative. It's brilliant. So there's some other sort of more practical next steps, but that was just kicking off. George, you might just want to take it on from there.
Sure.
Right. I mean, so we got the channel audit. You're just going to show us how many Facebook faces we have, and we need to get rid of all of them except for the Spirits of Gratitude landing page. That's all. On Facebook, it's in terms of websites, let's get rid of the other two websites on Spirits of Gratitude book.
And also in terms of websites, George, I think the work that we've done on your main website is such a great resource for the social channels, which obviously all need to look the same. And because we've done so much work on that homepage, particularly in terms of the wording, and we've done our lovely key message document as well. We've got we've got stuff that can then go out and sit on the social channels as well, in terms of your branding and all the rest of it. And then obviously when we're doing things like quotes and content like that, it can all just really sing to the same tune and look beautiful, and like it sits together.
No, definitely. Yeah. And how does page come into this equation in terms of the design element? For the quotes and stuff. You don't do that, Anna, do you?
I do.
She does. Yeah.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Very much so. Yes. Okay.
So have we lost Paige then, or is
No. Pages.
How does it work? Sorry, I don't know the.
So now Paige is our WordPress person. So anything to do with your website or your MailChimp at this point and your PowerPoint will still be in Paige's bailiwick.
Oh, I see. Okay, good to know. Good to know. But Anna's now taking over the design, everything to do with the social media aspect.
So when you saw Gifted and you saw all the social posts for Kim and Paul,
you did all that.
Anna created all of those.
Great job.
Oh,
very impressive. No, really, that is really good. Wow. No, that's wonderful. Okay, so great. So we've got the channel audit. We need to get our LinkedIn, Facebook, all that stuff done. I'm going to leave it to you, Jonathan, to work with Anna to create all those things, including Instagram and Twitter. Yeah. So they're all along the same lines, same brand colors, same everything else. Mm-hmm. And this is really exciting.
And George, the quotes, just go back to the quotes there, because you were just asking Anna about that. And we'd put together some suggestions, and we'd also done some research into sort of what they might like to broadly look like. Maybe that's for a separate email or call where we could sort of brief in some ideas and also get her input on that.
Okay, that sounds fine. Just to know, we'll finish the follow-up tasks that we've got to do. I think that when Jonathan and I know that Jonathan and I can have one-to-ones from time to time, but in terms of, I think it's really useful for us to have us four meet. I think it's once a month.
Yeah.
To go over, what's been covered and where do we go for the next 4 weeks, and we keep this on a rolling basis. Sure. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yep. Brilliant. Perfect. Okay, so, I'm going to leave you three if that's okay. I can hear children and things. When you've got peace for a certain amount of time, and then that time has run out. But that was really
go put out fires.
Productive. Super productive, guys. So thank you, and and I'll speak to you all soon.
Perfect. Yeah.
Bye. Nice to meet you, Anna. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So George, today is World Mental Health Day.
I know.
It's a big one. As we get into the October planning session, we do this on the last Thursday of the month as a public group.
Right.
So it's at 11 a.m. just on the last Thursday of the month, which obviously you're included in, where we look at the whole calendar for the month, And then what I specifically do is then I work with each of our done for you clients, and we take that planning session and then we tailor it specifically. So like the likes of today, and obviously it's a little late, but this is where
Today would have been a good day. I totally agree. But you know what? You're absolutely right. Now, when is this thing you're doing? I just need to get it in my diary.
So the virtual coffees that you're very aware of.
Yes. Yes.
It follows the last virtual coffee of the month,
which is in October, is 31st.
So this is October 31st, yeah.
Okay, great day. It's Brexit Day. I'm going to be in New York.
You are?
Yeah, but I will get on. I will get on. Right, so what time is, I've got here.
11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, I've got 6 p.m. here. Jonathan Christian virtual coffee. I've got 6 p.m., which is 10 a.m.
Yes. So
is that one?
That's the virtual coffee. And then straight after that, we then do the planning lab, which would be 7 p.m., I guess.
7 p.m. my time, but that will be 2 p.m. in New York. Okay, I just need to make sure that
Correct.
I'm...
Yes.
So what is this program called that you do at 7 p.m.?
We call it the Content Planning Lab.
Content
Planning Lab. And what we've got is Paige and Anam spend a lot of time each month going back in history and seeing what hashtags trended on this day last year and so on. And then we look at the national calendars for obviously national events, as well as local themes. So the big one today is World Mental Health Day.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is that I and you will sit down, we'll select which ones are going to be important for, I think that's terrific.
So that we can prepare for this. So if we were doing this like next month, and let's just say today was November 10th, if you like.
That's genius. I love it.
Thank you.
I love the idea.
Because likes of what you did with your 30-day retreat, was almost like a mental health break for you, right?
Oh, definitely.
And we could so tie that into what you've done to get you where you are.
I love that.
And also just like, mental health is not something to be embarrassed about anymore. It used to be. It was something that people would quietly be on Prozac and not really tell anybody, but now it's a recognized, people take mental health days in their work calendar.
Most of the people in the United States are medicated.
Oh, yes.
They're under medication.
Yeah.
They are suffering. No, you're absolutely right. And the solution is not in the drugs. It's change of mindset. And that's what Lipton talks about. But
I can't wait to meet you to talk about muscle testing and try that a lot.
I'm going to do that on you, mate. I'm going to do that on you. You're going to go back a different guy. No, but seriously, this book is so hard. It's 240 pages, but it's gold. It's absolute gold. I've been mining this stuff. Every page is highlighted in yellow.
Yes. And you see, when you went to Leeds,
sorry?
When you went to Leeds?
Yes.
And then we created that webpage with Paige about the Psych K, and then Paige just showed me all about it. I said, okay, I am so hoping that George took a bunch of pictures while he was there. And of course...
I'm so sorry,
No. But this is what
I have a group picture, but not of me.
This is what we want to do. Because I remember you sent me a picture of when you were with, was it Paul McKenna?
Yes.
Those are the kind of pictures.
Yeah, I know.
We want to get into your personal social media that we. It's like Anna
I wasn't in the headspace. I was not in the headspace.
No,
but I
know what to get you.
I know what to do now. I know what to do. I'm learning. I'm slow, but I get there. No, but listen, this has been really, really useful. And as I said, don't get exasperated with me.
Oh, not at all. No.
And I'm saying this to Anna, that we will get there. We're slow, but believe me, this elephant baby is going to come out weighing tons. It's just, I am so excited, Jonathan, like I have not been for a long time.
Oh.
Because I can see this thing is coming together. It's coming to, and all this stuff that you taught me, you know, the 5 E's and all this has not gone to waste. Let me tell you. I'm serious. Has not gone to waste. And if you notice the amount of time you must have spent to bring those 5E program together.
Oh, 4 years.
Well, that's what I mean. You know, it didn't just come out of, you know, of pretty pictures.
I actually have a slide of me at Trinity Western University in 2013, and it was the 4Es, and I was developing it at the time. And then I had a picture of a hand, and I went, hang on a second, there's a 5th E, which was the excite and the entice piece, because at that point, I hadn't sort of completed the sequence.
And this is where I'm coming back to. What you've done with the 5 E's, okay? I need to remind you how long it took for you to get to that point where it became what it is, because I think many people probably don't see what goes behind, you know, the work that gets to, you know, it takes time to develop what you developed in that program. You have 4 programs now. And I reckon that program, that 5E, is your anchor.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It is your anchor. That's, you know, and to be honest with you, that's what I'm trying to do with my business.
Got it. Got it.
And I know the only person who can get me into Troy is you. So, Jonathan, I'm really excited. I'm so happy. I'm looking forward to, you know, you guys working on this Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. So very excited. So thank you for your time. We're on 4:30 p.m. my time. We are dead on.
We are dead on. And we'll be back at 10 a.m. if you want to join us for virtual coffee.
10 a.m. That's tonight. No, that's
so in an hour and a half from now, if you want to come back.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Perfect.
Thank you, boss.
Okay.
Anna, lovely to meet you. Thank you. And I hope you've got a sense of where I'm coming from.
Oh, I do.
You get me, and you know we're gonna work together. It's gonna be terrific.
It will be.
All right, guys.
I'm
Thank
excited.
you for your time. Lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.